Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Now I will presentation for the sociolinguistic for project 1 and for part 1. For the part 1, I chose the two topics. There are code missing and code switching. The next slide, table of contents, code missing. There are definition, case study, analysis, theory, and reference. And for the code switching, definition, case study, analysis, theory, and reference. And the last slide, there is conclusion. Key takeaway, sociolinguistic significance. For the next slide, code missing. The definition, what is code missing? Code missing refers to the incorporation of elements from one language into the structure of another language within a single utterance or conversation. It occurs intra-sensual within the same sentence and is common in bilingual and multilingual communities. Intra-sensual mixing occurs within a single sentence, not at sentence boundaries, and the bilingual contents speakers must have complete competence in both language being mixed. And for the unconscious act, often involuntary, reflects natural linguistic patterns of the speaker. The next the case study, case scenario. Aku lagi ngerjain assignment yang deadline-nya besok, jadi harus cepat selesai. In linguistic breakdown segment, aku lagi ngerjain language Indonesian bahas, function, main verb, phrase, core action. Assignment for the segment, the second assignment, language English, borrowing. In the function content word inserted into Indonesian structure. The third deadline, language Indonesia English plus Indonesian suffix, and function hybrid English noun plus Indonesian possessive-nya. And the last one, jadi harus cepat selesai, language Indonesian, function closing close logical conclusion. Code missing, analysis and theory. Why does it occur? First, lexical gap. No equivalent term exists in the base language. Example, deadline has no direct Indonesian word. Second, identity marker. Sign-on membership in an educated or bilingual social group. Third is of expression. Some concepts are more naturally expressed in the other language. And four, social prestige. English use conveys status and modernity in Indonesian academic context. Theoretical framework. Muskan 2000 distinguish three types of code missing: insertion, alternation, and congruent lexicalization. Hoffman 1991, code missing is speech strategy used by bilinguals for social and communicative purpose. Poplack 1980, introduced equivalence constraint mixing follows the grammatical rules of both language simultaneously. The next, sociolinguistic function, identity expression. Speaker use code missing to signal bilingual identity and educational background, reinforcing group membership. Communicative efficiency, filling lexical gaps ensures clear, precise communication when a single language lacks the appropriate terminology. Third, social solidarity. Shared multilingual code creates an in-group bond and signal familiarity among bilingual peers. And the last one, prestige and modernity. In the Indonesian context, mixing English signal, access to global discourse and academic practice. And for academic reference, Moskin P. 2000, Bilingual Speech, a Typology of Code Missing, Cambridge University Press, Foundational Typology of Code Missing Types, Insertion, Alternation, and Congruation Lexicalization, Hoffman C. 1991, An Introduction to Bilingualism, Longman, provides a comprehensive overview of code missing as a communicative strategy in bilingual communities. Third Poplock as 1980. Sometimes I'll start a sentence in Spanish yet termina en Spanish. Towards the typology of code switching, linguistic 7 until 8, 581 until 618, and the last one, Romain S. 1995, Bilingualism, Second Ed, Blackwell, examines social motivation and identify function of code missing in multilingual societies. Next, code switching. The definition: what is code switching? Code switching is the practice of alternating between two or more language or language varieties within a single conversation. Unlike code missing, switching typically occurs at sentence boundaries, interstitial, and is a deliberate, contextually driven choice made bilingual speakers. Interstitial switching at sentence or clause boundaries between utterances. Interstitial switching within a single sentence overlaps with the code missing. And text switching, inserting a text phrase from another language. Example: write, can, and case study. Case scenario. During a class discussion, a student begins speaking in Indonesian, then switches entirely to English when explaining the concept, then returns to Indonesian when giving an example. Language alternation pattern: Indonesian opening. Sets up topic in familiar language. English explanation: precise academic concept and Indonesian examples, relatable local context example. And analysis and theory. Why does it occur? Topic: safe switching language when the subject matter change reflects domain specific competence. Second, audience design. Adapting language to the listener, formal English for academic discussion, for Indonesian for peers. And third, emphasis and clarity. Certain concepts are better expressed in one language, switching ensures precision. Four, power and authority. Switching to a prestige language, English, can signal authority or expertise. And for the theoretical framework, Campers 1982 identifies conversational and situational code switching. Conversational serves rhetorical function. Myers Scotton 1993. The Markness model, switching and motivated by social negotiation of identity and rights. Bloom and Campers 1972. Situational versus metaphorical switching, context and identity to drive language choices. Sociolinguistic function. Domain competence, switching to English for academics. Explanation, signal, mastery of discipline-specific discourse and terminology. And 2. Social negotiation, language choice, negotiation, social roles, students versus peer, formal versus informal within the same interaction. Third, contextual adaptation demonstrates pragmatic competence, the ability to select the most effective language for each communicative goal. And the fourth, in group identity, returning to Indonesia, for example, maintains peer solidarity and reduce social distance in the classroom. Academic reference Campers GG 1982 Discourse Strategies Cambridge University Press. Distinguish situational and conversational code switching. Examines rhetorical function in bilingual discourse. Marius Cotton C. 1993 Social motivation for code switching. Clarendon Press. The Magnus model explains code switching as strategic identity and social negotiation. 3. Bloom G.P. and Campers G.G. 1972 Social meaning in linguistic structures. In G.G. Campers and D. Hymes eds direction in social linguistics pp 407 until 434 Reinhardt and Winston. Foundational study on study in situational versus metaphorical code switching in naturalistic settings. And the last one, Wardow R and Fuller G M 2015, an introduction to sociolinguistics 7th ed. Willie Blackwell. Comprehensive overview of code switching theory within the broader field of sociolinguistics. So, the conclusion, code missing occurs intrinsically driven by lexical gaps, identity, and prestige. It reflects the natural language behavior of bilingual speaker in Indonesian academia. And for the code switching occurs intrinsically motivated by topic, audience, and domain in demonstrates pragmatic competence and strategic use of language in academic context. Sociolinguistic significance. Both phenomena are not errors. They are sophisticated communicative strategies that reflect multilingual identity, social context, and cultural dynamics. So that's for the part 1. Now start for the part 2. First, diagnosis. Second, code alternation. Third, styling shifting. Fourth, code missing. 5, code switching. And 6, dialect. The table of contents. First, diagnosis. Definition, case study, analysis, functions, and reference. Slides 3 until 6. The second, code alternation. Definition, case study, analysis, and function, and reference. Slides 7 until 10. Third, style shifting. There are definition, case study, analysis, function, and reference. Slides from 11 until 14. Fourth, code missing. There are definitions, case study, analysis, functions, and reference. Slides from 15 until 18. Fifth, code switching. Definition, case study, analysis, function, and reference. Slides from 19 until 2022. Dialect. 6. Dialect. Definition. There are definition, case study, analysis, functions, and reference. Slides from 23 until 26. First, the closer definition. Word is diglossia. Diglossia refers to a situation where two language varieties, a high age from variety and a low informal variety, coexist in a speech community, each assigned to specific social function. The H variety is used in formal domains. The L variety in informal, everyday settings. High H variety used in informal settings, academic lectures, religious texts, official speeches associated with prestige and education. And for the low L variety, used in informal settings, casual talk with friends and family, since as the natural everyday language. And functional allocation, speakers know which variety to use in each context. Switching is socially expected and rule governed. Next, case study. The case scenarios. In a university seminar, a student presents using formal Indonesian H. During peer discussion, the same student switches to informal Indonesian L. The lecturer used formal Indonesian throughout the session. The analysis. Context, formal seminar presentation. Speaker, student. Variety, formal. Domain, H, academic. Context, discussion with peers, speakers, students. Variety, informal students. Informal Indonesian, and domain L, social. Context throughout session, speaker, lecturer. Variety, formal Indonesian. Domain H, authority. Context after class conversation, speaker, students. Variety, informal Indonesian. Domain L, peer. Next, analysis and theory. Why does it occur? Social domains rules, different settings impose different norms from formal domains demand H as a mark of institutional competence. Second, power and prestige. H variety is associated with educational and authority, signaling institutional identity and status. In group solidarity, R variety signal closeness and shared identity among peers, reducing social distance. Fourth, historical stability. Diglossic. Situational praises because communities assign different values to each variety over time. The theoretical framework, Ferguson, 1959, coined diglossia, defined HL varieties by 9 features: prestige, standardization, literary heritage, and domain use. Fishman, 1967, extended the diglossia to separate language, link, domain theory, family use L, education use H. Hudson, 1991, diglossia as a continuum. Communities vary in how strictly H or L rules are enforced. The next function and reference, social stratification marker. Its variety reinforces institutional authority used in academic contexts, legitimize power and knowledge. Second, peer solidarity. Switching to L among peer signal belonging, reduce formality and strengthens social bonds. The third, domains maintenance. Each variety retains its functional role, preventing one from displacing the other across social domains. And the last one, prestige management. Age maintenance, culture, heritage, and standardization of preserves authentic everyday spoken use. And there are 4 references. The next slide. Definition. Code alternation definition. What is code alternation? Code alternation is an umbrella term covering all forms of language switching in bilingual speech including code switching, code mixing, and style shifting. It describes the systematic use of more than one linguistic code within a single instruction, reflecting the full communicative repertoire of multilingual speakers. Code switching, complete shift to another language at utterance or sentence boundaries, intercessional alternation. Code mixing, blending two languages within a single sentence, intra-essential, embedding all two elements into our one structure. Style shifting, adjusting formality level within the same language based on audience, topic, or social context. A case study: during a group discussion, one student says, "Menurut saya, this concept is very important untuk kita pahami." Another responds in full English but later switches back to Indonesian when speaking to a different peer. Analyzes the utterance. Menurut saya, this concept type of alternation called the missing intra-essential. Description: Indonesian plus English within one sentence. The two responds entirely in English. Type of alternation: code switching, inter-essential. Description: complete shift to English for full utterance. Third, switches back to Indonesian. Type: situational code switching. Description: language change based on new interlocutor. And the last one, varying formality peer. Type of alternation: styling shifting. Description: register adjusted per relationship and context. The next, analysis and theory. Why does it occur? First, identity negotiation. Speakers use alternation to position themselves as academic, bilingual, or peer a group number. 2. Communicative need. Certain concepts are more precisely conveyed in one language, prompting switches for accuracy. Third, audience adaptation. Language choice signal what the message is for and what relationship is implied. For multilingual community norms, in bilingual community, alternation is a standard strategy, not a sign of deficiency. Theoretical framework. Our 1984 code alternation as a contextual and contextualization. 2. Speakers signal topic or role shift through language choice. 2. Cross-check. 1982 bilingual speech mode continuum from monolingual to fully bilingual, govern all alternation patterns. The last one, Myers-Cotton, 1993 Markness model. Speakers choose codes by negotiating social identity and communicative rights. The next, function and reference. The function first repertoire display. Alternation display full communicative repertoire marking competence across multiple linguistic codes. The second, social role negotiation. Speaker negotiate social roles, academic friend fear in real time through code choices. 4. Topic management. Language self-assigned transition in focus, register, or formality, helping structure the conversation. And the last one, community membership. Set alternation, norms, marks, and group membership. Unfamiliarity with patterns implies outsider status. And there are 4 references. We go next. The third, style shifting. The definition. What is style shifting? The style shifting is the adjustment of speech style, vocabulary, grammar, tone, and formality within a single language in response to the different audience, social context, or communicative goals. It reflects speakers' pragmatic awareness of social norms and their ability to adapt linguistically. Form style used in high stakes or institutional settings characterized by careful pronunciation, complex syntax, and formal vocabulary. Informal style used in casual or pure setting, marked by relaxing pronunciation, colloquial vocabulary, and simpler structures. And audience design. Speaker shape style based primarily on who they are addressing. The audience is the main trigger, not just the setting. The next case study. The case scenario. A student speaks very formal when presenting in front of the class but becomes highly informal when talking to close friends after class. Vocabulary, tone, and sentence structure change significantly based on the audience. The analysis 1. Vocabulary academic precise, consequently colloquial slang, fillers, yeah and see. 2. Sentence structure complex subordinate clauses, short, fragmented, and elliptical. 3. Tone and pace, measured, deliberate, and careful, fast, relaxed, and with pauses. And 4. Pronunciation standard, clear articulation, reduced, contracted, casual. The next analysis and theory. Why does it occur? First, audience design. The identity of the listener shapes every stylist choice moment by moment without an distraction. 2. Social context choice. Institutional setting, classroom trigger formal style. Informal setting, reduce constraints. 3. Self-presentation goals. Speakers shift style to project different social personas. Competence, students versus friendly peer. 4. Attention to speech. When monitoring on speech more closely, example recorded, speaker naturally shift toward formal style. Theoretical framework. Bell, 1984. Audience design theory. Style is primarily a response to audience. Hierarchy addresses auditor and overhearer. Labov, 1972. Attention to speech model. The more attention paid to own speech, the more formal the style choices. Giles, 1973. Communication accommodation theory. Speakers converge toward or diverge from interlocutor style. The next, function and reference. Social role performance enables performing different social roles, student, friends, and professional within the same day. The second, relationship management. Informal style signal solidarity and closeness. Formal style signal respect or social distance. Third, institutional competence. Formal style in academic context demonstrates command of institutional norms and enhances credibility. Fourth, face management. Style adjustment protect both speaker and listener's face, balancing formality with social and comfort. And there are four references. Let's go to the next slide. Code missing definition. What is code missing? Code missing is the incorporation of linguistic elements from one language into the structure of another within a single utterance. Internal essential words, phrases, or morphemes from L to are embedded in the grammatical form of the base language. It is a natural feature of bilingual speech, not a sign of linguistic deficiency. Insertion. A word or phrase from L2 is inserted into L1 in sentence structure. Example, assignment embedded in an Indonesian sentence. Alternation switches between the grammatical structure of both languages occur within a single utterance. Congruent lexicalization. Both languages contribute to one surface structure. Neither languages, the grammar clearly dominates the utterance. Next case study. Aku lagi ngerjain assignment yang deadline-nya besok, jadi harus cepat selesai. Indonesian in the base language. Assignment English insertion and deadline-nya English noun plus English suffix-nya are mixed in. Analyze first. Aku lagi ngerjain. Language Indonesian. Type base language. Function core verb phrase subject plus action. 2. Assignment language in English. Type insertion. Function lexical borrowing, no direct equivalent. 3. Deadline language English plus Indonesian suffix. Type hybrid morphology. Function English noun plus possessive-nya. 4. Jadi harus cepat selesai. Language Indonesian. Type base language. Function closing clause logical conclusion. The next slide, analysis and theory. Why does it occur? First, lexical gap. No direct Indonesian equivalent for assignment or deadline. English fills the communicative gap naturally. 2. Prestige and modernity. English signal academic status and global orientation in Indonesian university context. 3. Ease of expression. Academic content studied in English is more naturally recalled and expressed in English. 4. Identity signaling mixing marks the speaker as bilingual and educated, reinforcing in group identity with peers. Theoretical framework Moiskin 200. 3. Typology insertion alternation congruent lexicalization explain code missing structure. Poplak 1980 equivalent constraint mixing simultaneously respect the grammatical rules of both languages. Hoffman 1991 code missing as deliberate communicative strategy used by bilinguals for social or expressive purpose. The next function and reference. First, lexical gap filling. English insertion fills gap where Indonesian lacks direct equivalence, ensuring communicative precision. 2. Bilingual identity marker, mixing signal membership in a bilingual community projecting an educated globally connected identity. 3. Communicative efficiency, using the most available word from either language accelerates natural, fluent conversation. And 4. Social prestige in Indonesian academia in an English mixing conveys modernity and access to international academics discourse. And there are 4 references. We go to the next slide. Code switching definition. What is code switching? Code switching is the practice of alternating between 2 or more languages at sentence or clause boundaries. Interessential. Unlike code missing, switching involves complete shift in linguistic code. It is a deliberate, contextually motivated communicative choice reflecting social, pragmatic, and identity-related goals. First, interessential. Switching at sentence boundaries, one utterance in L1 to next in L2, the most common type of code switching. 2. Interessential. Switching within a sentence overlaps with code missing. Both language appear within a single utterance. And the third, text switching. A text process from L2 is attached to an L1 utterance. Example, kita sudah selesai, right or can. The next slide. Case study. Case scenario. During a class discussion, student began speaking in Indonesian. Opening switches entirely to English when explaining a concept, academic domain, then returns to Indonesian when giving examples. Pure interaction. Analysis. First, opening. Language Indonesian. Function, set up, topic, and motivation. Familiar, accessible language. 2. Concept explanation. Language English. Function, academic, precision, and motivation to make competence sign. 3. Giving example. Language Indonesian. Function, pure relatability, and motivation, solidarity with the classmates. And 4. Closing remark. Language Indonesian. Function, reason to base, and motivation re-establishes common ground. The next, analysis and theory. Why does it occur? First, topic or domain shift. Switching to English for academic explanation reflects domain-specific language competence. 2. Audience design. Formal English for academic content. Indonesian, for example, adapted to dual audience. And 3. Emphasis and clarity. Switching to the language with clearer terminology ensures precision and complex explanations. For social identity, language choices, signal positioning, knowledgeable academic peer versus approachable classmate. And there are 3 theoretical frameworks. Function and reference. First, domain competence sign-up. Switching to English for academic explanation demonstrates mastery of subject-specific discourse. 2. Social role negotiation. Language choices, negotiated identity, knowledgeable students versus accessible peer within one interaction. 3. Pragmatic adoption. Demonstrate ability to select the most effective language for each distinct communicative code. And 4. In group solidarity, returning to Indonesian, for example, maintenance, peer solidarity, and signal group accessibility. And there are 4 reference. We go to the next slide. Dialect. Definition. What is dialect? A dialect is a variety of language spoken by a particular group, distinguished by systematic difference in pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar. Dialect reflects regional, social, or ethnic identities. There are linguistically equal to standard varieties. Difference in prestige are socially constructed, not inherent. First, regional dialect variation based on geographic location. Example, Javanese influence Indonesian, Minangkabau vowel patterns in speech. Social dialect variation based on social group, membership, class, age, gender, or ethnicity. Also called sociolect. Last, standard versus non-standard. Standard codified, prestigious. Non-standard, equally valid linguistically but socially marked as regional, informal. Case study. Students from different Indonesian regions interact in a classroom. Some use standard Indonesian, others incorporate regional feature. Javanese particle, Monggo, Minangkabau vowel shift A to O, or Batak intonation patterns. First, vowel shifts. A to O, from word apa to apo, region Minangkabau, African communication channel region national identity. 2. Lexical Mongo for silakan is Javanese and marks in group solidarity. 3. Intonation rising, falling, assertive patterns is Batak and perceived as empathic by others. And the last particle or suffix la, ka, nyo is various regions and expresses solidarity or informality. The next analysis and theory. Why does it occur? First, geographic separation. Physical distance allows language to diverge independently. Different areas develop distinct features. 2. Social identity maintenance. Dialect features persist because they signal belonging to a regional or ethnic community. 3. Limited mobility. Historical limited movement allowed dialect features to stabilize in geographically is isolated areas. 4. Prestige and stigma. Standard dialects change prestige via education systems. Regional dialects are maintained in private or informal domains. There are 3 theoretical frameworks. We go to the next slide. Function and reference. For the first regional identity marker, dialect features signal geographical origin, functioning as a verbal badge of regional and cultural belonging. 2. Social solidarity. Shared dialect creates in a group solidarity using regional features with a fellow regional speaker strengthens bonds. 3. Cultural heritage preservation. Dialects carry cultural knowledge, idioms, and historical meaning not preserved in standard varieties. And the last, social stratification signal. In formal context, standard dialect may be required. Regional dialect use can mark outsider or informal status. There are 4 references. And the next conclusion for the part 2 summary. First, diglossia, H or L variety split by domain reflects social stratification and language prestige. 2. Code alternation, umbrella term for all switching reflects full bilingual communicative repertoire. And 3 is style shifting, intra-language style change driven by audience shows pragmatic flexibility. 4. Code missing, intrasential blending driven by lexical gaps, identity, and prestige. 5. Code switching, intrasential alternation motivated by topic, audience, and domain competence. And 6. Dialect regional or social variation marks identity, solidarity, and cultural heritage. I think that's all for my presentation from part 1 until part 2. Thank you very much.